Chris Zaferes, welcome to Radical Wealth Plan.
Thanks, Paul. How you doing, man?
Well, considering we just got a chiropractic adjustment, I am feeling much better. Thank you.
This is going to be a very diverse conversation, from chiropractic to real estate. Maybe we can squeeze some music in.
I love it. I don't think we have time for the music, but I do like it.
Okay.
So super quick, born and raised in Bakersfield. Is that right?
Taft. I was born in LA.
Okay.
My dad was in optometry school at USC. And I was born, so really here in LA, but I was raised from 3 years old until I was 18 in Taft, which is about 30 minutes outside of Bakersfield.
Wow.
Small little oil field town. Went to college in San Luis Obispo, the Central Coast. Mm-hmm. Got my undergraduate there, and, anatomy, biology.
Wow.
And then I moved to LA to be a chiropractor. Mm-hmm. I went to chiropractic school. I graduated in 92.
Wow.
So, I had a child in chiropractic school. My father passed away in 1990.
Wow.
And then I had a child in 1990. So
wow.
It just got me very responsible very quickly.
Yeah.
I had this other human being that I was responsible for. And so I was really into music and writing songs and doing art and traveling, but I knew chiropractic was my dad was kind of really took me in the direction to become a doctor. But when I had my daughter, I knew I had to get real. I immediately at a young age had to come up with child support and started doing that. And so next thing I know, I'm looking for a job, and you look back, it ended up being that responsibility really set me forward in buying my first house.
Mm-hmm.
And
how old were you in 1990?
1990, what was I?
I should be able to do the math.
But I was 24, 24, 25 years old.
Yeah.
And
you bought your first house?
In 94. 94. And, I got one of those FHA loans. I was living in Venice Beach.
Mm-hmm.
And the earthquake happened, the 94 earthquake. So the market really was low. And
wow,
I had like $7,000 from my father's. It was nothing, and I took all that money and did an FHA loan. And I bought the house.
Wow.
Yeah.
Where was the house?
Right off of Abbott Kinney.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Between Washington Boulevard and Venice.
Yeah.
Great little location.
Yeah. It was a little rough back then.
Very rough.
Very rough. Okay.
Well, my little neighborhood was not, but you cross Venice Boulevard,
rough.
And blood were on the streets.
Yeah.
For sure. You'd hear gunshots. You'd go the next day and there'd be blood on the street, on the sidewalk. It was crazy.
Yeah. People don't realize that now because, houses right in that same neighborhood, they're $5 million or more.
All day long now. But back then you could get them for 150.
Yeah. And at the time that you bought, people had fled. I used to know the stats. I could grab them real quick, but the number of homes, for example, that were destroyed in the Northridge quake, which was 1994, it's the quake you were talking about.
Right.
I think order of magnitude, like 5 times more houses were destroyed than these fires that everybody sees as so devastating.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I had no idea. My house was not even put together with 2x4s. It was called balloon framing. It was one of the houses that the laborers that dug the canals.
Wow.
It was, early, like 1902. It was like a crazy, it didn't have any foundations. It was put on bricks.
1994 Earthridge quake destroyed 82,000 buildings.
Wow.
Yeah. And the Palisades fires were 6,800 structures.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I mean, it took out that entire freeway.
Yeah, it's more than 10 times. Now, I didn't do the Eaton fire in there, but yeah, there you go. Oh, no. See, yeah, including Malibu, Altadena, and Eaton. All of it was just about 7,000 homes. And so you're looking at roughly 10 times the devastation from that quake.
But, I remember people were trying to talk me out of it because it was such a bad structure. But I knew it was a great location.
Mm-hmm. Were people buying then or
no?
Okay.
No,
so that's what I thought.
Nobody was buying.
Yeah.
In fact, my landlord almost didn't want to sell because 150 was so low, but the world was shaken so hard by the earthquake. She was like, it might be the only time I have a chance to sell it, And I thought I was taking a big risk.
What gave you the courage to take the risk?
I love the neighbor. I loved the neighborhood. I loved Venice.
Yeah.
And, it was nothing like, I was really into Jane's Addiction, and I'd gone to a party at Perry Farrell's house. And so I knew Perry Farrell lived in that neighborhood,
It was cool.
He was so cool. And I was like, I'm moving here, And so I had the opportunity to buy. And, my daughter lived basically in this little closet, and I built in 2 phases. But anyway, that's what I was going to say is, now I'm not afraid of anything, because after building that one house and not knowing how to do anything, I learned how to do everything. And I learned everything is solvable. Everything. You can figure anything out, especially in construction. It's just wood, concrete, steel, glass.
What do you say? I mean, I don't disagree with you. And what do you say about people buy something they call a money pit? It's like, they buy it and it needs some work, and then they go and they do a bunch of work, and then it needs more work and more and more and more. And before you know it, they're down the drain with it.
Right. Well, you'd think I've bought, I maybe bought one of those, because when the market dropped in 2008, it was the 4th house I had done. So I did, and I had really crazy good success. The funny thing is, if I'd have just stayed in Venice, because what you don't realize is your tax basis was so low.
Yeah.
It's an equalizer.
Yeah.
Your tax basis being low is an equalizer, because everything, I've done well again, because in 2008, I was in sort of a money pit. It had a swimming pool on a hillside. It was in Studio City.
But okay, so hang on one second, because I want to get from one to the other. But the reason why I asked you that question.
Okay, go.
The reason why I asked you that question is because people, for example, right now are on the sidelines waiting to buy real estate. And my advice is there's never a time to be on the sidelines. Now, here's why they're on the sidelines, because they hear that interest rates are going to go down. So like, why would I buy now when interest rates are going to go down maybe a full point very soon? And my answer to that is
you can refinance.
Of course you can refinance. Yeah. But my answer as a general matter is that the macroeconomic factors, which are important and influence real estate as a general rule, real estate, have far less impact on a single piece of real estate than the deal you're getting. So in other words, pick the time and I'll show you a good deal, whether it's a good time, a quote, good time or a bad time. And then pick the time, great time or bad time. And I'll show you a bad deal. I know people that have, bought deals. And when it's also the herd mentality is that when everybody is talking about real estate that's when I do get a little more conservative. And it takes a lot of guts to like buy right after the Northridge quake because people get, and understandably so, very short-sighted, very myopic. They're like, the world has turned upside down. Real estate value, they're giving houses away. When is the real estate ever going to come back? And really, if you have the guts, that's a great time to buy.
A young person, in my opinion, right now, if they can pull it together, the upside, I would imagine, in the Palisades right now and Altadena.
Sure.
It's also such an adventure to build a house. I just love the whole damn process, to be honest. It's creative and you get to, you start meeting different people in these different neighborhoods you're in. I mean, I could see why it would be rough for someone that had young children to go back because it's going to take 5 to 7 years. And next thing you know, their kids are, that's a tough move, but
it's not going to take 5 to 7 years
to build the Palisades.
No. Caruso's going to open the village back up in December. I'm telling you, it's the people
in December. Well, that means it's been closed though for literally 11 months.
Yeah. 11 months is a long time. 11 months is not 5 years.
But I mean, I'm surprised. I mean, I'm not surprised he's opening that up, but when I drive through there, because I live in Topanga now, it's devastated. And you see, they basically have a lot of them cleaned up.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
But actual buildings started, it seems very,
it's early. Yeah, it's early,
and
but
it usually
you do
takes
see
2
it.
years to build a house, a year and a half, 2 years.
Yeah, a year and a half. Yep.
So
they're expediting. Listen, the pros are going to go in and they're going to build in 18 months easy.
Well, that's cool.
And people aren't going to nobody wants to be the first back in, but I drive through too. I've looked at it. I've looked at it for investors. I've looked at it for myself, and the cranes are up there and people are digging and building. And I don't think it's really speculators have gone in yet, but I think there's construction happening. Is it 1 in 10? Maybe even less, but it's not 1 in 10. Yeah. No. Okay. So 1 in 50. But I'm telling you,
I mean, right now
I was up in the Alphabet streets and I'm looking at one and there's a crane going here and you look across the street and a few down, there's a crane.
No,
they're working. I do want a little context. So you bought the house for $150,000 in 1994 right after the quake. What do you think the house would have been worth right before the quake?
$250.
Okay. That's exactly what I thought you were going to say. Just a guess.
Maybe 200. It was a teeny little shack of a house.
Even if it's
big yard, R2 zoning.
Oh, well, that's cool. Yeah. I mean, nowadays, R2, you know what you do? You go and you build a duplex and then you immediately build 2 ADUs. You got 4 units on that little lot. I mean, you can do it.
The house next to me, that's why I finally sold, because they built this 3-story monster next to me. And it was just so tacky. And I had this beautiful craftsman, authentic home and the best tree, and this darling, it was just a darling house, and this monstrosity went in there. And I was just like, I can't stand this,
I mean, if the house, for example, was worth 250 before, and I think maybe R2, maybe, I don't know, but let's just say if it were worth 250 before, 250 down to 150 is a 40% price break. Yeah. It's a good place to start. So how many?
So that's what a lot, I'd say 3, no more. I've, without a realtor, sorry.
That's okay.
have knocked on doors.
That's great. I love to hear it.
I bought that piece of property we bought.
Correct.
That way.
And we'll get to that.
Okay. And then
sure.
I bought basically Venice by knocking on the door.
Oh, you did?
Not knocking on the door. I lived there. It was so I knew the neighborhood.
Oh, okay.
I was renting the house.
Okay.
You know?
And you just talked to the owner. Now, how many square feet was the house? How many square feet was the lot?
The lot was 100 feet deep by 40 feet wide.
Uh-huh.
And
4,000 square feet.
Yeah. And
small.
And the house, it had a very nice thing that it was right on the alley. Usually you have to pull it back 15 feet. Well, I used that to my advantage. I grabbed that. I kept that line. And
then you built forward.
I built forward. Yeah.
So how many square feet do you think the house was before you started on it?
Oh, God, it was tiny. It was probably, no joke, 400 square feet.
Wow.
It was tiny.
Wow.
Little living room, 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom. The kitchen was
square feet.
It was a teeny little kitchen, no dining room. And the garage was bigger. It was weird.
Yeah. But look you're buying, these are some highlights, okay? Because you're buying right after the quakes. You have the guts to do that. Then you're buying a weird house in a very good neighborhood, a very up and coming, a lot of upward trajectory.
No one knew that. No one knew that. There was not a sign of it. My neighbors were, sailors. And well, I'll tell you one thing I did know. There was this huge lot at the end of my block, and Frank Gehry bought it.
Wow.
And I sort of knew who Frank Gehry was because he had, one of my favorite restaurants was Rebecca's. And there were these really cool alligators on the ceilings. I'm like, there were these lights that he had made, these crazy crocodiles, these 2 crocodiles on the ceiling. I was like, this is the freaking coolest light I've ever seen in my life. And he would cast light from behind the marble of the bar. And it was just all these weird little details. The marble glowed. It was really alabaster. It wasn't marble. And I was like, unbelievable. And I heard he bought this huge double massive lot. And I'm like, well, if that guy's buying, then this has got to be, that guy, he's the best builder I've ever seen in my life. And I didn't even know, there was no Disney Hall. I didn't really know who Frank Gehry was, other than this teeny little restaurant that I thought was the coolest thing I'd ever seen in my life.
And Frank Gehry, a lot of listeners will know and a lot won't. But Frank Gehry is, I think it's safe to say, he's the most famous living architect. And he designed the Disney Concert Hall, where I just went to see a concert.
And just Barcelona, the Modern Art Museum.
That's right, MoMA, yeah.
And so, and then he, there's so many things.
Yeah. Like I said, probably the most famous living architect. Yeah. Interesting. So you used part of it was, you said, hey, there was this super cool band, guy from this band you love. That's right. And you got Frank Gehry buying a double lot, and these are sort of indicators to you, and it's just a vibey, cool area.
And I was still in my 20s, so I really had no idea what I was doing. My mother and my mother's father were home remodelers.
Oh, okay.
So I
never knew that.
Yeah. I grew up, my grandfather could build anything.
Oh, okay.
And he would send me in as I was a kid to do the bad things, like put in the insulation, and then my dad had all these bad apartments and I would paint them and change toilets. So I sort of,
you had some hands-on.
It was mainly painting, and,
non-VOC paint, of course.
Yeah, right. It was.
And the insulation was all.
Oh, it was the worst. I mean, we had a swimming pool. I'd go up there and he'd send me up there in shorts to put this insulation everywhere. Then he'd go swimming and get it off you. No mask, nothing, just crazy.
Yeah. I have similar stories. The old school. So what did you do to the house? So you got a little tiny house.
I had to live in that house with my daughter while I built. So I didn't know what I was doing. My cousin was a draftsman, and he and I drew, and I loved the really cool old craftsmen in Venice.
Right.
I loved them. And one of my best friends was he hadn't ever built a house, but he had worked in construction. Mm-hmm. And literally my friends and I dug the foundations and tied the steel, and my cousin drew the plans. And I remember I told the building department I was going to build the whole house for under $100,000 because they wanted to tax me all this. And I'm like, and they laughed at me. And I'm like, you can't laugh at me. I'm building this house. I can do it, and I just had such conviction, and I think I did it for under what I said too, funny enough, because I did it all myself with my friends,
And I totally believe that, because it's 30 years later and you're still like, I tell you not to do it. That's my medical advice to my chiropractor is don't carry the boulders, because you built a beautiful wall out of boulders and you're carrying the boulders yourself.
Well, every time I went surfing, I picked up a boulder.
There you go.
And I built a 120-foot retaining wall with them.
With the super cool boulders. I didn't know that's where you got them.
Yeah, every time I went surfing, I'd grab like one or two from all the way up from Big Sur. In fact, San Francisco.
They're heavy.
Oh, some of them are hundreds of pounds.
So you had to have your surfing buddies hey.
No, I would just through leverage, I would walk them up.
Oh my gosh.
And then I'd tilt them on the end and I'd roll them into my car. It was fun though.
I remember.
But it hurt me. I learned my lesson.
Yeah,
you're
you can't
smart
do it.
not lifting things, because that herniated my back. And I'm a chiropractor. It was just complete hubris and foolishness. I knew better.
Yeah.
And you can't be lifting things like that.
And I were good friends, and you and I are on opposite spectrums, because I'm like, I don't lift it.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
Anyway. Kudos to you for that.
Wow. Sure. I think you've proven that that's the smart move.
You can do it without lifting the boulders. I know you drove all the way some crazy distance to source a clawfoot tub for a project that we worked on. And then, didn't it kill you to put it in the truck, and then it didn't break the window, or there was some kind of craziness.
Yes. It broke the window. It wasn't too hard to lift, but that happens. Things always are getting broken, and everything's an adventure.
How big was the house when you were done building it?
1,600 square feet.
Wow. Okay. So you go from 400 square feet to 1,600 square feet. You did a lot of it yourself. You did the whole build for under $100,000. Tell me about the exit. And
the exit was wife driven. On my second, I got married the second time, and I had my son Zane, who she wanted out. She didn't feel Venice was safe to raise a kid in. And she talked me into selling the house, and we bought a house in the Pacific Palisades.
Wow. How much did you sell the house for?
Like $980.
Wow. Okay. Let me ask you this. When you bought the house with the FHA loan for $150, do you remember at all what you put down?
Like I said, I believe it was
about $7,000.
I think it was $7,000.
Okay. So let's do a little fun math. You're into the house for $150, but you only put $7,000. And I mean, let's call closing costs just to make the math just a little easier on my brain.
It was probably a little more than that. Maybe it was $7,800 or something. Whatever.
For ease of math, I'll call it you were in $10,000 down and that you had a $140,000 loan. You put another $100,000 plus your labor. That means you're basically into it for $110,000 cash. And then you have $140,000. How long did you hold it for?
Well, I lived there for 2 years before I bought it. But
after you bought it.
Yeah. 94 to 2004.
So 10 years.
Yeah.
Okay. So you must have paid some of the mortgage down. And so now you're at 110, 250. You probably paid some of the mortgage down, but okay, we'll leave that out.
But I did take money out to build. I think I took $130,000 out, if I remember right.
To build. So you didn't put the cash in. You used
I didn't have any cash.
Oh, you used a home equity line or something like that.
Yeah. Okay. By the time I didn't start building right away.
Yeah.
I lived in that house for.
So Chris, you're into this house for $10,000 cash because you used the house to refi the money to build.
Exactly.
So you're really into this house for $10,000 cash plus, to be fair, a lot of your labor for sure. And then you're probably
an enormous amount of labor, an enormous amount of not knowing what I was doing.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and you're probably in 10,000 cash. And like you said, you took out 130. So you're probably into it for 10,000 cash and like it is stretching my brain a little bit, like 250, 260, 270. So it's a $270,000 loan, approximately, a little less. Let's say 250 loan by the time you're out. And then you exited for how much?
$980.
The math is astonishing, really. You made 98x on your money. Mm-hmm. So, if you made 1x on your money, that's 100% return. Mm-hmm. You're like 9,800. Somebody will put in the show notes that, or, I did the math wrong, but I don't think I'm doing the math wrong. You got a 9,800% return. I'm telling you.
4 times my money.
Oh, you know what? Actually, I didn't take the loan out. Okay.
Yeah, 4 times my money.
You didn't make 4 times your money because you were in it 10 grand.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah. Sorry, I forgot to take the loan out. Sorry. Okay. 98. See, minus 98, 980,000 minus 250,000. That gives you a $730,000.
That's exactly what I walked with. I remember.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
730. And you put down 10 grand. So you're at 70, 73. You're at 73x.
And
that's 730. That's 7,300% return. I'm just saying.
And the reason we crushed it no one thought I could get that much. I said, I'm not selling this house. I was the first person to put a house on the market for I said I want $1 million for my house for me to leave. And my realtor was like, would you take 980? He goes, it's a mental thing for 20,000. It's a mental thing.
The realtor's correct. Yeah.
And I go, if I can get 980, I'm leaving. And he goes, you're getting more than 30% what anyone else has ever got in this area. And I go, well, that's what it's going to take for me to leave. And I sold it in a day.
What? Wow. What year was that?
2004.
Okay. 2004. 2004. You got over $600 a square foot. Mm-hmm. That's what that math works out to.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever it was, the thing that you just said was you were 30% above market.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you get 30% above market?
Details. I'm a detail guy. Hardwood floors, I hand scrape them. I will drive to the end of the world to find something interesting that no one else has. I'll do used floors and I'll remill them all. And I can't afford to do it, so I just do it myself. And when I have free time, I just mill everything myself. I would sometimes find one really cool doorknob and I had the other doorknobs cast so that the doorknobs were from the 1910s, and I made them exactly like they did it in 1910. And I used old door locks, I like old hardware and I like, but I like it to work. I like my things to work like they're new, but I like the quality of.
And the feel and the look.
Yeah. But, sometimes, but yes. And it can work the same thing with like mid-century modern stuff. I bought a really great after the Palisades. So we bought that one. Do you want to do the math on that one? Are you ready to go there or no?
Yeah. Almost ready to go there because part of it is the what you're doing. I don't know, like we can teach math, there's stuff we can teach. And I'm not sure that we can teach style and design, but I will say that to begin with, some people have it. It seems like some people have it and some don't. I know.
And some people care about it and some people don't.
Yeah, that's right. That's correct. So I would say like, I don't have it, but I do care about it.
And you recognize it a lot more than you give yourself credit for. You're like, oh, that's cool. You walk in, your mind gets blown. I've watched your mind get blown and I'm like, you damn right, that's cool.
Yeah. But I still think that sticks with like, I care about it, but when I say I don't know it, what I mean is like, I would have a hard time
doing it.
Yeah, doing it. Or I go to the showroom and, like everything looks good to me as opposed to like you going to the showroom and be like, okay, that's cool. And the rest of the stuff, not so cool.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then also, of course, piecing it together. And, I know it when I see it, but I don't have the ability to do it really.
I naturally can kind of do it. I think I can.
I know you can.
Yeah, I've done it. I've done it a lot and I can do it. And now I even at 60 have confidence in what now I'm like, no, I know. And that's good. And you know what? That's bad.
Right. But for people who, for a national audience that is looking to, build wealth in real estate. The first thing is, these are the lessons right down the line. The first thing is you're buying in an area that you're already living there. You're buying in an area that's really shaky, but you love it and think it's cool and you have reasons for thinking it's cool.
Well, also, I have enough sense to say, okay, I can't afford Santa Monica and I can't afford Manhattan Beach. I grew up in the desert, more shades of brown than you've ever seen in your life. Yeah. I want to be by the beach. It kind of was one of the only places I could afford to live on the beach. Mm-hmm. And so then I go and pick the best neighborhood in that sketchy area. And like I said, Frank Gehry and Perry Farrell are doing this,
It's cool people, cool stuff happening.
It seemed like it, and I was just so immersed in it. I didn't even realize what I was doing, I don't think. Now we can look back and say, but buy low, buy in a good neighborhood. It's all the basics.
It is basic, and people do miss the basics. And I will teach the basics by saying, like, I go into a neighborhood, and as soon as I see there's some anchors, like if you go in a neighborhood that's like weird and they put the Whole Foods there, like that's an anchor.
Absolutely.
But that's an overly obvious and maybe later in the game one. But when I see like the artisanal coffee shop or the really cool vintage shop, or I start seeing some cool stuff happening in an otherwise rough area. I mean, right now, parts of La Brea are super shaky, and there's already art galleries lining the streets. Like
But those have been going on for 20 years.
The art galleries.
Yeah. I mean, it's where Pace is.
Yeah. Yeah.
The biggest one in the world.
Yeah.
So,
well, they were ahead of their time. Maybe they were the anchor, but it's really picked up now. I mean, there's great restaurants. There's great.
Sure.
And I even do it by percentage. It's like when I bought my house in Santa Monica, which was already expensive, 20% of the houses on my street were redone. And now it's like, 80% of them are done. You can't buy on my street now. Yeah. Forget it. You're not going to buy. If you buy a tear down on my street, they've already built into the price. They've figured it all out. Okay. So this piece of land, and you can build 6,000 square feet, which is maxed out. And that's going to sell for, $8 million and da, 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 da. So therefore we want, $3.5 million for the dirt. It's like, it's gone.
No, for sure.
But when you're at 20%, you can still buy the shack. And I have this formula, which is like basically, if you're at 5%, meaning like 5% of the neighborhood has like been done up again, it's too early. But there's a certain point where if you're the first in, it can take forever. It's like you said, Pace Gallery went down there 20 years ago. Well, if I looked at Pace Gallery and said, wow, Pace Gallery's there, I'm going to buy nearby.
Well,
it takes 20 years.
About they bought it. I know the people that started it, and then Pace bought it. So they didn't buy it 20 years ago. Now that I think about it, they probably bought it 9 years ago. But
yeah, okay, that's different.
But those people that started that amazing gallery did it, 18 years ago, I would think, about around there. Yeah. So
how's this one for a quote? I don't believe in timing the market, but I think you can time a neighborhood.
Probably.
There was a guy, you would know the area. It's right near where the Binoculars building is. Who did that? Was that Frank Gehry?
Yeah, that was Frank Gehry.
Okay. All right. And which big advertising agency? It was Shia Day. Okay.
Gary Madonna worked there.
Right. I love it. There's your name drop for Gary Madonna.
Oh, can I name drop one more?
Sure. Of course.
I'm wishing my son, Zane Zaferes, happy birthday.
Yes. I
promised him I would.
Oh, good. How old is he today?
23.
I love it.
Yeah.
A very handsome man. He comes from the right stock.
Happy birthday,
and
kiddo.
A good man. Good young man.
So you're saying, you just said you can't maybe time the market, but you can time a neighborhood.
You can time a neighborhood.
That's a nice little
sound
title to a book.
Well, maybe that'll be the title of this podcast episode. And I'll tell you an anecdote. And that is that this guy came into, it was right near there. It was right near Shia Day, right near that Frank Gehry campus. And he had a full square block, this guy.
Wow.
Well, wait a second. He was renting. And this is like, it was 2000, 2000. Is it 19? No, it was 2000. So in 2000, this guy goes in and he rents this giant building. And he did all of this renovation to it. And he put in the lease. It was a 10-year lease. And he put in the lease, if ever you go to sell the building, that he has the right of first refusal, because he didn't want a new landlord after he did all that stuff. And he moves in there. It was a post-production company. He moves in there, and like 6 months later, the guy goes to sell the building.
Wow.
And he said, and it was 2000, he moves in, he puts a right of first refusal into the contract. Sure enough, 1 year later, they go to sell the building. They were going to get $2 million because, right of first refusal is like when it's really under contract. Yeah, I have the buyer. The guy goes, hey, I have the buyer. It's $2 million. And he had just started his business. He had just put all of his money into it. He didn't have the money to buy it. And so he went to the guy that was buying it and said, look, I have a right of first refusal. I'm going to be your tenant for another 9 years. The only thing I like from you is also a right of first refusal, because I've invested a lot, and, I could do something maybe to buy it, but but I'm going to let you have it, but I just want a right of first refusal. And so that guy said, okay. And he's then in the building for another 10 years. Okay. So it's really a total of 10 years. And then that guy goes to sell the building. And in that 10 years, from 2000 to 2010, he sold the building that he bought for $2 million. He had a buyer for $2.1 million. Okay. That's all that it appreciated in that 10 years.
100,000?
Yeah. And by then he had been in there 10 years. His post-production company, he was making a bunch of money. And the guy said, hey, look, I want out. I'm done. You've been a great tenant. I gave you a right of first refusal. I've got a buyer at 2.1. If you meet 2.1, you can have it. And he said, you know what? Actually, I can put that together. So 10 years, that building goes from 2 million to 2.1 million. Okay. That's 2010. 2020 or so, Google bought the Chiat-Day. It's now the Google campus. Okay.
Oh, are you talking about the Chiat-Day building?
Yeah. No. He was right near there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he was right near there. And a realtor, this is not a sale, but a realtor said to him, are you interested in selling? And he said, well, probably not, because I want to hold on to it. And he said, well, I have a buyer in the $40 million range.
Wow.
And that is called timing the neighborhood, because that man had the opportunity. He said, I would have bought it for $2 million. I just didn't have the dough.
Right.
I would have bought it for $2 million because he didn't want to be kicked out of the place. But the guy said, no, we'll keep you in. We'll keep the lease is solid. And then he buys it 10 years later for 2.1. And then another 10 years later.
I've tried to talk many of friends when businesses go up for sale. And I'm like, you should buy this. Oh, I don't want to own it. Da, da, da. And I'm like, you're going to someday wish you bought this. And I'm thinking of a couple places in Venice, and I'm not going to say and there's one in Topanga too, my buddy. There was an opportunity to buy it. And I'm like, dude, you should do anything you can to buy this place. It's worth so. Both of these places are, I know the one in Venice is sold. He could have got it for $1,100,000, and it just now has sold for $12 million.
Wow. And that's
within the last 20 something years.
Yeah. And that happens more in
2010 happened to be the worst time of all time, because the 2008.
Yeah. That's right.
It was the worst. And that's what I did. I'm in Topanga now. I lost a little money. It was the only time I ever lost money. I knew I could have waited it out, but my mortgage was high and my taxes were high. And I'm like, I want to get rid of this crazy high tax basis.
Right.
and I'm going to downsize. I'm going to lose a little money. I'm going to take a tax break because I lost a little money.
Sure.
And I'm going to wait this out because it was 2010.
Right.
It was, and the 2008 thing happened and it was horrible and everything was going down. And I literally was so down because
that was right before you and I started to be friends and get together.
Yeah.
And talk real estate.
Yeah. And did you know me when I was buying Topanga?
No, I don't think so. Or not well enough to know. No.
But I guess not. But so I literally bought a foreclosured house for all cash. And it brought me back. And I have a lower tax basis. And now I don't want to, I've slow like my house, it's getting really cool. Finally.
Very cool. And what I did was I was out at your house and videotaped just a short, videotaped a section of your house, which is particularly a cool section because it is where you expanded your kitchen, you created a new kitchen, dining area. And so that folks that a lot of people just listen, on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And if you want to have some fun, this is an episode you should watch on YouTube because I'll post the video of the actual work that you do, which is just phenomenal.
Thanks, Paul.
So tell me about the Topanga buy.
I was seriously thinking about going back to Venice. It was the market had dropped again, but getting back in looked to me, I'd done it. I'd done Venice and I thought I always had liked Topanga and I wanted some land and I wanted some, I just wanted a different thing. And I felt like, and hey, look, Venice has crushed it, from 2008 to now, but Topanga has done very, very well as well. It's 818. So 3 times I've done 3 times, maybe a little better in 15 years. So about every 5 years, it seems to have doubled, or gone up, not doubled, but gone up.
So
I bought it for 6.
You bought the Topanga house for $600,000.
Yeah. And I just got a small little loan on it to do that kitchen remodel. And it was appraised at 1.9.
And then when you use leverage or not, because you're building so much value, what was the condition of the house when you got it?
It was tacky, but it was, that's why I never changed my kitchen because it was just so functional.
Right.
And I was, I had my son living with me and it was more about spending time with my kid. And I was just going to deal with the house the way it was and let time make it worth more so that I could do what I've been doing.
Right. But you have been changing things all along. So when you say you bought the house and the house was tacky, I mean,
it had a Home Depot cabinetry in it. It had terrible colored granite countertops. It had
the kitchen had the ugly granite.
Yeah. The rest of it wasn't that good either. I changed all the doors out in the whole place.
Yeah.
I found these doors that were from, that were 100 and something years old from the 1800s. And I put those in it.
I mean, right when you go to the door, you know that, on one hand, you're not like if you went out, bought the highest end door. I remember you were showing me really high end doors that you put in our places out in Joshua Tree, which are beautiful, brand new, solid core, just gorgeous. And when you go to your house, like maybe the little house that we did in Joshua Tree, you got that old door on there.
Yeah, that one's very much like my home in Topanga.
Yeah, super cool. You just walk up and you just know.
It's charming.
Yeah, this is a 150-year-old door.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty cool.
And they are that old.
Yeah. And so it's and I've seen you do that sort of design element. You would probably do that even on a modern house, right? No? See, I told you I don't know.
No. Sometimes, but probably not. I can do it in Topanga because I love a handmade house, like the ones in Big Sur, like the ones in Taos. They do those earth ships, and there's a lot of really cool details that people do. So
where are you getting your ideas from, other than
Okay, that is
that's
combination.
A trade secret.
No, I grab it from everyone. And there's. First of all, because I make house calls and I'm a chiropractor,
right?
I get to go into these people can afford anything. So they get the best designers in the world. And I get to see the way the best designers in the world who've made a career out of it, put it together. And sometimes I think, I don't like that. And sometimes I'm like, oh my God, I take a picture. I start figuring out, how can I do that?
Mm-hmm. And I'm going to tell you how everybody watching this podcast can do that.
Absolutely.
And that's go to open houses.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, one of the things I see it a lot, in Beverly Hills, or the Bird Streets, which is a very fancy area in the Sunset Strip. And yeah, same thing. I mean, I walk right into these. It's an open house.
I do the same thing.
I walk right into a $60 million house, and you can just see everything they've done. Yeah. And there you're not snapping a photo of somebody's house that you're a guest or whatever. I mean, you can ask, of course, but it's wide open, man. Just go. How about this one? If you're in Omaha, Nebraska, go to 90210, go on Zillow on 90210. I mean, there's a lot cooler than 90210, frankly. Go to find the Bird Streets, which are up Sunset Plaza. It's easy to do, just Google where that is and see what houses are open and just go through the photos. There was, and I see some, believe it or not, some really terrible houses at $40 million. I do. I see them. And then, I went into a house that's owned by Lenny Kravitz that was for sale. Mm. And I mean, my goodness, this thing, I mean, the style, right? Because look at him, right? He's got style. We're back to music. Mm. He's got style. This place was like, whoa. I mean, it was so cool and weird. Like, I'm not 100% sure, like, I could fall asleep at night in there. Like, it was like, I'd like to visit.
I've got one. I remember when you and I went to Cuba.
Yes.
And we stayed in Miami at
the Soho Beach.
The Soho Beach. And I remember going in there, and I can't say who, but I remember going, oh my God, this is like this big actors and old coolest Hollywood on the planet home. And I was like, man, they knocked this off from, you'd have thought it was this guy's home.
Yeah. One of your clients.
Yeah.
That's old
and
Hollywood.
It just all kind of came together for me. And I'm like, what a cool idea to just have all this old furniture. I mean, yeah, the sheets were new and fresh and hot and, perfect. But the furniture and it was just like I thought it was so well done. And I loved it.
And I picked that because I knew we were traveling together. I knew you would get a kick out of it for sure.
It. Oh yeah.
And I will say that I believe that 50%, I could be wrong. It could be higher, it could be lower, but like at least 50% of people would go in there and they'd be like, oh, wait a minute, are you kidding? Because it's not cheap. And the rooms aren't cheap. And, and like you say, they had the best bath products on the planet. They had the bathroom was just like phenomenal. But, you get this like halfway beat up, desk. And then I go and I sit in the chair and the chair's like, halfway up, like half the stuffing was out of it. I'm like, what is this?
But it was cool, man.
So cool.
It was so cool.
But it takes a design. I mean, that is the furthest edge away from how I would know how to do it, but how I see it, I love it, I appreciate it. I wouldn't know how to do it. I'd be like, you've got junk furniture here. It's like, but I mean, they pull it together masterfully.
Mm-hmm. They really did. I've been trying to do that for us.
You're doing a good job. So Topanga House, and that's what I mean. You said it was tacky. Some of the tacky stuff you left, but you immediately,
it's going. It's eventually all going. But
you're taking your time.
And I have 2 kitchens right now because I didn't want to be without a kitchen. I was moving my kitchen to the other side. I'm scrappy. That's the thing. I will not. I will do what it takes to get it done right. And if that means I will get scrappy and I'll work harder than anyone to get it done.
Yeah.
So.
And so, one of the things that we did is work together. Oh, well, first of all, the other thing that you do tremendously well is trend spot. And what I mean by that is neighborhood trend spot, area trend spot. So, you picked Yucca and Joshua Tree before it blew up.
Mm-hmm. That's a weird one though, because I, went there when I was in chiropractic school, and I would go and stay at a campground and and then, and I would study, and you could you would not even have to, book anything. You could always get a campground in Joshua Tree. Then my buddy and I, we raised our kids camping, out in Joshua Tree. We'd take the kids and we'd do these big groups, and all these families would get together. And then it started to get really hard to get a campground. And I'm like, well,
something's happening.
Well, I wasn't even something's happening. I was like, I love Joshua Tree. I want to be hanging out in the rocks and the Joshua trees and playing music and chilling out. And I'm like, Jesus, for $150,000, I can buy my own piece of the park. And this is before it blew up, And I was like, well, I'm just going to buy something so I don't have to ever worry about getting camping or doing anything. No one can say anything to me. I'll have my own place to go all the time. And I was looking for about a year just because I liked it. I brought you out.
Right.
Just to have fun because I was adjusting you, and I'm like, you're like, what are you doing? And I'm like, oh, I'm going out to Joshua Tree. You're like, why? Yeah. And I'm like, well, you should come with me. And you came with me. And I was looking at that little piece of property.
Right.
And you looked up and you're like, I love that, but what about that? And I'm like, I hear you. And I go, funny you say that. I got the guy's name,
Right.
And I had called him and he's like, I don't want to sell it. So I was working on getting that little one down below. And just as I was getting ready to buy it, they called me and asked me if I wanted to buy it. And I was getting ready to buy it. And you and I were talking, and the rest is history. Yeah.
I remember you were back and forth on it so many times. You're like, maybe, I'm thinking about buying this thing. I'm like, oh, I without doing any analysis.
Right.
I go, oh, you should buy it.
It was really whether I was going to buy it alone or go in together.
Yeah, no. And I said, you know what? If you don't want it, I'll buy it. And you're like, wait a minute. So if this guy,
I was always going to buy it. You told me your exact words were, because I'd never gone in partners with anything.
I remember we had a lot of conversations about this. Yeah.
And I thought the main one I remember you saying, which is, look, you should be leery of having a partner, because I'd heard some nightmares that you've told me over the years.
Sure. Partnerships can be great and can be terrible.
Well, and you said, if you have a good partner, nothing's better. And you and I had really good experiences. You'd had me build some furniture for you.
Right.
And you'd had me build a bathroom.
Right.
And I thought we kind of had a good time at it, and it turned out really great.
Sure.
And I was like, I trusted you.
And it was on the quite expensive side, because you used such phenomenal materials and was all handcrafted.
And it was solid old growth teak.
Oh yeah.
That doesn't even, it's extinct now.
And when it came time, we probably should have done, I would advise people to do the negotiation up front, but we didn't. And then when it came time to pay you, I made sure that.
Well, that was the thing.
More.
I didn't know. And remember how nervous I was? And you're such a calm person, and I'm such a nervous person. I was like, well, we never talked about how much, and you're like, how much do you want? You were just so chill, and you're like, what would you be incredibly happy with? And I think that's, it was quite a long time ago. Didn't really know how to even price it either. I just knew I had a lot of time and energy into it. And you were like, it ended up being more than I could have wanted.
Yeah. And I there's a lesson in that too. I do think that, chiseling the trades, or, when somebody does you right, you gotta really take care of them.
Yeah. I mean, and you did,
And I know you do the same. That's why I say, you're not chiseling your tradesmen, because you're not building that thing like,
No, in fact, I give them exactly what they want to, because I'm demanding. Yes. I like it to turn out the way I want it to turn out. And they're already, I'm paying them exactly what they want, and they still kind of don't want to stick around sometimes because I'm demanding.
Yeah. Well,
I care, as you say. Yeah. I just care so much. It's too demanding sometimes.
In the podcast today, I wanted to demonstrate how someone who's not a developer can, go out and build wealth through real estate.
Yeah.
And are, one of the great teams that I work with at Entrepreneur Media, I talked to a guy who hosts a podcast with Entrepreneur Media, and he also is in charge of like their writing department. And I was like, how can I contribute? And he's like, tell me how not the real estate expert. Tell me how somebody that does something.
Are we still rolling? Yeah. Okay. I have something.
Tell me how somebody who does something other than real estate can really make money in real estate. And that's what we did.
Well, yeah. And on that point, I'm absolutely that person, because I'm a chiropractor, and I got in ground zero when I was a young man. And I think you're right, especially when you're young. It gives you the time turns almost everything around, wouldn't you say? And so if you're living in it, you're in a very safe place, because all you got to do is come up with your mortgage, which is often cheaper than I find that. Yeah, I get my mortgage is about what everybody's paying in rent, but the longer you stay there, next thing you know, everybody's rent has gone up, but your mortgage is basically the same. If you have you get, and so I've done it. I'm not a very risky person. Every single time, except for Joshua Tree, I have lived in the house that I am working on. And I don't know if that's a good thing, way better than me, but it has grown my wealth way more than chiropractic. And
you're working your rear end off at chiropractic.
I am, but I'm working my rear off building houses.
That's true too.
But I like it. I like to work hard. I just do. But I do believe if you pick a neighborhood you love and you buy in and you try to get yourself in the best neighborhood you can. And I always kind of get the worst house in the, best little neighborhood.
Yeah.
And then because I know that I will figure out a style that I love, but I'm always thinking of the exit at the same time.
Sure.
I know, well, if things go bad, I can sell this for this much and I'm walking out sitting pretty, looking for the next one.
Yeah.
And I probably should have even done it a little more. Mm-hmm. I'd be wealthier if I was willing to let go of Topanga, but I happen to like it so much that I'm.
And there's something great about that. And you're doing phenomenal things there.
And it could be my ultimate retirement plan, or it really could be.
At the end of the day, you are going to get 30% more per square foot when you sell that house.
That one, I might even do better.
Yeah.
That one's going to be, because it's so handmade.
It's
house,
a hand-built house
in Topanga.
Yeah.
I mean, it feels like Big Sur. It feels like Taos, or
it does.
It's funky. It's cool, and it's high end too.
You have that big barn,
and
you turn that barn from basically a heap of junk into.
I mean, literally, the roof was crooked. There were no walls. To now, it has full foundation. It's got air conditioning. It's
cool.
A great little artist studio, and you move everything out of the way, and you and I play some
ping pong,
serious ping pong.
I love it.
All right,
we end with the fire round, Chris. I generally pick like half of the questions, like whatever I feel like asking of these, and let's do like real fire round fast, because knowing you as well as I know you, I want to ask you all the questions.
Do whatever you want. I love it. I'm having a great time.
Excellent. So, what is your idea of perfect happiness?
I think I want it all. I want a beautiful place to live. I want a beautiful person to share it with. And I want my beautiful children to come visit often with their kids. So that seems like a lot of happiness.
What's your greatest fear?
Gosh, I mean, I definitely would say ageism. I'm having so much fun, and I'm just starting to feel like I can't have as much fun as I'd like because of my age sometimes, but I keep doing it anyway. So I'm a little afraid of.
What's your favorite childhood memory?
Backpacking up in the high Sierras, fishing, nature.
What's the best compliment you've ever gotten?
Feel pretty good when people walk into my place and give me some wows. It's definitely, I like that ego boost. I don't know what it means, but it feels good. So I guess that.
What's an insult you've received that you're proud of?
What are you doing with that old man?
What's the trait you most deplore in others?
Hubris.
What's the trait you most deplore in yourself?
Temper.
What's the quality you most like in a person?
I like honesty and morality. I like a good, honest, moral person.
When and where were you happiest?
I mean, there's so many times. Again, being in nature. I love it,
If you could change one thing about yourself, what would it be?
My temper.
What's your greatest extravagance?
I love living in a beautiful home. I love really beautiful, high textured, high quality things around me.
What's your most treasured possession?
Well, they're not my possession, but my children are my most treasured things, but they're definitely not my possession. I don't know. A possession, probably my homes.
What do you consider your greatest achievement?
I feel like I live a very fulfilling life. You know, I like the way I live. You know, I love my jobs. I love my children. I love life.
If you could be remembered for one thing, what would it be?
I don't know if that really matters that much, because when you're gone, you're gone. Good, honest, hard worker. I'm not sure.
Okay, so you said you like nature.
Yeah.
There are great hikes in LA. You take a great phenomenal hike, you know, steep, hard climb.
Sure.
You get up to the top and you look down,
Mm-hmm.
and there are your kids and your friends and your whole community, and you shout one thing. What do you shout?
I love you.
Nice. Chris, thank you. Really awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, really great. Thanks, man.